Welcome to the podcast, Restore Yourself, Restore Your Marriage, where it's all about discovering the thoughts that get you in the mood, the thoughts that get you out of the mood, and how creating a deeper connection with yourself creates a deeper connection with your spouse. I'm your coach, Shelly Anderson, coaching you through life, love, and intimacy. This is episode number 174. New, fun, and sexy celebrations. Oh, yeah. Okay, for this episode, I wanted to do something that was just simple, easy, fun, exciting, and a little bit new. And I know that we have actually done something similar to this before, and I thought it would be a fun time to do it again, is to just throw out some ideas about different celebrations that exist that we probably don't know about, and allow these ideas, these national holidays, not the typical holidays that we, get work off and get school off, but just some of these other ones that are registered that can give us some spark, can give us an opportunity to think about our sex life differently and think about celebrations a little bit differently. A lot of times when we're married and a holiday comes up, we can get really stuck in the idea, the thoughts that we're probably going to need to have sex to celebrate this holiday, right? This is the expectation. And even around Thanksgiving, we might even think, you know what, I should be grateful for all of my blessings. And I can show that gratitude by having sex with my spouse. But with that sometimes comes that expectation, that feeling that you're obligated to do it and that it's your duty to show your gratitude in this way. And when we approach intimacy in that way, it can take a lot of the fun out of it. And then again, it just falls into that category of doing it out of duty instead of something that we look forward to and have a desire to be involved in and say, hey, I want to celebrate something fun and exciting through a physical sexual way with my spouse. So I hope that you will take this opportunity to really challenge your old thinking, some of those ways of thinking, especially that get couples trapped, and say, you know what, I'm gonna try to think about things in a new way. And so this allows us to think about sex in a way that is fun, even funny, and think about approaching sex with new purposes instead of just duty or pity or obligation. This is so healthy for relationships because what it does is it invites a new connection into your relationship, a new way to connect, and ways that are probably not common. They're not ordinary. They're not static and boring. And when you invite this newness into the relationship, you're creating new memories. Your brain is really going to like that. And it's going to start to think about sex in new ways, positive ways, instead of just the old, boring stuff. So I wanted to share with you just some of the holidays that are in November that are not Thanksgiving, because I think this can just really jog our creative side and say, oh my gosh, I never would have thought to bring this into the bedroom and make a fun, sexy time out of it. But why not? These can be so fun and funny. So let's just get into it and let's share some of these ideas. Okay. One of the holidays in November is National Take a Hike Day. So this just invites us to get outside, to get into the nature that is all around us, and to take a walk, breathe in the fresh air. If you're like me, maybe you don't know this about yourself, but altitude is a huge a turn on for me, not mentally, but it just does something to my body. And so anytime I'm in a position where I can expose my body to a higher level of altitude, I know that it's going to have a positive effect on me and my natural desire to want to be intimate. So this might be a good opportunity for you to explore yourself and say, hey, does this happen for me? If we go up into the mountain on this one trail that we've been wanting to take advantage of, what happens to me and my body? Do I feel something different when I am up in the altitude a little bit? And maybe you'll find an opportunity to get a little frisky on this hike. So this could be something really fun and a way for you to discover if altitude is a turn on for you. Another one is National Baklava Day. I don't know how many of you guys have had baklava, but I have had it and I love it. I love the combination of the crunch and the textures of the pistachio, the honey. And it reminds me of Greece. So what if we just thought about Greece and channeling Greece and having some baklava in the middle of the Thanksgiving celebrations, right? We could just have so much fun with this and allow our brains to take a mini vacation, even if we're staying put, right? You know, a lot of times we hear the term staycation. Well, you can do that. You can stay in your own home and just invite Greece into the bedroom, right? I'm sure you can allow your brain to imagine what that would look like. And you could celebrate with some baklava. Yummy, sexy, very sweet. National Princess Day. Oh my gosh. We could really run away with this one, right? We can be the princess for the day and say, hey, all my wishes need to be met. And we could put a little tiara on and a little wand and just have so much fun with our husband and say, I'm the princess for today. And maybe next week they're going to be the prince, right? And we can add some new things that maybe we have been hesitant to ask for. But maybe on this day, we will have that courage because we are the princess. So that is a fun one that we can try to embrace. Here's another one, National Red Mitten Day. Now, if you live where it's cold, you might have some gloves and mittens, and maybe they're not red, and you could probably be okay with that. But I thought this one was funny, right? What if we go into the evening and say, you know what, I'm going to be sexy with just some red mittens on, and that's it. And these red mittens are going to be awesome, right? What can you do with red mittens in the bedroom that maybe you would never have thought of before without any mittens on? This idea just allows our brain to think a little bit differently, right? We can have some fun with this. It can be funny and playful. And just being able to bring something like red mittens into the experience is going to invite that newness, that novelty, without it being something totally crazy that we don't want to be involved in, right? Red mittens are harmless, so we can invite those in. Another one is National Gingerbread Cookie Day. Oh my gosh, how fun, right? We could get some gingerbread cookies, either already made or we can make them. We can get some frosting. Some frosting. We could play around with some frosting in the bedroom too while we're decorating our gingerbread cookies, right? They're a little sweet, they're a little spicy. And we can just see where our mind goes with that in a way that is fun, new, and creative. Now, here's one that I really liked that I didn't know I was going to like until I read it. I thought, oh yes, Shelley, this is right up your alley. National Stuffing Day. Right? Let your brain just play with this one, right? There's a lot of different types of stuffings. There's a lot of stuffing to be done. I love stuffing. It's one of my favorite parts of Thanksgiving. And so being able to think of a fun, sexy time where you just make stuffing, that sounds amazing to me. You just get the fireplace going late at night and you get all cozy and then you bring out some stuffing. Yes, this is my kind of night. National Stuffing Day. Awesome. I love it. Okay, now here's one that I never heard of. And I was like, what is this? National Wolfenoot Day. What? What is that? Okay, this is a combination of two different things. And this holiday was actually created by a kid who loves animals. He loved wolves and he loved dogs. And so dogs are said to be a descendant of the wolf. And so this is the National Be Nice to Dogs Day, or have the idea of kindness in your mind, kindness to animals day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Like, how would we make this holiday sexy? So this is the first year we've ever had a dog, and it's super fun. I'm so happy that we have a dog, and we've had our dog for about a year. And I was like, oh my gosh, we could do this. We could celebrate this, right? And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, my husband is so good with our dog. He's so sweet. He's funny with our dog. He's so playful. And he just makes funny jokes with our dogs, and it always makes me laugh. And I was like, this is such an awesome thing to celebrate. Maybe I'll be able to show some of my gratitude towards my husband for his kindness to our dog and how much joy and laughter he brings to me when he's playing with our dog. Right? So, I mean, think about this. This is such a different approach to sexiness and having a sexy time with your spouse. That's not obligation. It's not duty. It's just like something fun. And how could we bring this national holiday of Wolfenoot into the bedroom? I love these challenges. It really asks us to think outside of the box and think about sex totally differently. What we often don't realize is that when we think of the concept of variety, we think, oh, this is what men crave. Men want variety in the sex life, right? And so a lot of times our brain is going to go down all these really negative paths, like what that means. What we don't realize is that while men want variety, women actually need variety. And again, it's not in the way that we think we need variety. It's not like going down crazy sex paths that we don't like and that we don't want to go down. It's about thinking differently, thinking creatively, thinking fun about the sexual relationship that we have with our spouse. So I love these concepts because these are funny, they're fun, and they don't take away from any of our core values and our core beliefs, but can really incorporate variety for women. When we don't have sex for our own reasons and we're just doing it out of duty, obligation, or pity, we get bored super fast with sex. And so we don't realize that we're bored. Women do not realize that they're bored with sex. And so a lot of times this is why our brain kind of goes down the path of the to-do list while we are having sex. So being able to invite these fun and playful and funny, creative ideas into the experience, our brain is going to love this. It's going to be like, whoa, this is funny and fun. Like you're actually having fun and it's enjoyable instead of feeling like it's just the obligation to do it. So think about that Wolfenoot one. Okay, here's another one. National You're Welcome Day. I thought this one was so funny, especially because we're having Thanksgiving Day. This is a You're Welcome Day. And I remember one year for Christmas, maybe 10 years ago, I had a customized shirt made for my husband that says, "You're welcome." Because he said this a lot because of in funny situations, like, here, I provided you with something funny. You're welcome. And so I love this concept, right? And it really made me think, oh, maybe I'm going to get a You're Welcome shirt and I'm going to go in one night and get all sexy and be the one to initiate the sexy fun time. And then afterwards, just be like, you're welcome. Right. I did that for you. I did it because I wanted to enjoy this funness and I wanted to be able to say, you're welcome. So being able to be playful like that is does wonders for our brain. Here's another one that is more on the like good side. It's the National Day of Listening. Yes, this is great for marriage and great for relationships. Just listen to something that your husband is interested in. Just listen, because it's the National Day of Listening. Yes. And you could even invite him to listen to you and say, today's the National Day of Listening. Let's get sexy about this. You guys could listen to each other while sipping hot chocolate, right? And getting naked, or having chocolate covered strawberries in the process, right? Like there's other elements you can add, but you can also make this National Day of Listening a very sexy time. And if you are able to listen to your husband and he's able to listen to you, man, is that ever going to get the sparks going? Yes, we love this. Another one is National Parfait Day. Yes, let's make some parfaits. Parfaits are yummy. And let's make a fun, sexy time out of it. Maybe we'll challenge ourselves to make a parfait in a different time of the day. Maybe we're going to get sexy in the morning before everyone's awake. That's fun. Or in the afternoon when the kids are at school, we're going to celebrate National Parfait Day. Yes. Being able to incorporate different times of the day allows our brain to think about sex differently, right? If we're only thinking sex is going to come at night, then it creates that expectation and that sense of obligation. But if we're like, hey, I'm going to do this in the morning, our brain's like, what? You're going to do it in the morning? Oh, that's a little different. The lighting will be different. The air will be different. So all those different things add to the senses and how your body is going to use the senses during sex, and it will be its own unique experience. Okay, we have a few more. National Cake Day. Yes, let's play with this one, right? We can make the cake that we like. We can buy it if we don't want to go through the hassle of making it, or we don't want the mess. Or maybe we do want the mess and we want the batter, the cake batter, right? So delicious. And we can have all kinds of fun playing around with that. What about National French Toast Day? Oh, I love French toast. This is so good. Different types of syrups. Have you guys ever had coconut syrup? Oh, it's delicious. Right? So being able to just say, hey, let's have some French toast. Let's celebrate French toast. Let's talk with a French accent if we can do that. To make it funny, no? A little sexy, a little French toast, a little fun in the bedroom, right? Being able to play with a fun French accent that will probably totally mess up makes it funny. It makes us connected to one another in ways that are different during the sexual experience. Another one is National Red Planet Day. I actually have an experience with this. I think I've shared it on the podcast before, probably on a different topic. But one time when Nick and I were not seeing things eye to eye, I think I was actually really upset about who knows what, something. And I was really loving putting the self-coaching model to the test, because I remember thinking, I'm so mad at him right now. It's late at night. We're going to bed and we're going to bed angry. And I'm okay with that. But I wanted to actually test the self-coaching model to see if I could get in the mood all by myself from a state of being angry. And I remember it was all over the news that Mars was going to be super visible that night. And so as we got into bed, we were probably not speaking at that point. I think I was giving him the silent treatment or the cold shoulder. And I got into bed and I was just silent and I was looking out the window and I could definitely see Mars. Very visible, very clear. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's what they were talking about. Okay, awesome. And I was like, I wonder if I could celebrate Mars. Could I celebrate Mars? Can I find it in myself to say, you know what, let's celebrate the fact that we can see it clearly tonight, that this is something to be celebrated. And I allowed my brain to just run with that idea. I just thought about it and thought about ideas and what that would mean, and challenged myself to really think about celebrating Mars and stop thinking about why I was upset with my husband. And I love this is where the self-coaching model becomes so effective because I didn't have to change what was happening with Nick and I. I didn't have to change Nick. I didn't have to control him. I didn't have to say, hey, whatever I was mad about, you have to do everything different in order for me to love you and in order for us to continue to have an intimate relationship together. None of that had to happen. I just changed my thoughts, knowing that tomorrow we could still talk about things if they need to be discussed and addressed. Or maybe it was just something so dumb and I just got caught up in it that it doesn't need addressing at all. But the point is that I was able to change my desire for intimacy just by changing my thought. And so the situation, the circumstance stayed exactly the same. And I started thinking about celebrating Mars. This is a red planet. And after about 5 minutes of thinking about how I wanted to celebrate Mars, I was 100% turned on just by thinking about celebrating Mars. Our brain is powerful, very powerful. And so, yeah, I reached over to Nick and I was like, hey, I'm feeling in the mood. Let's celebrate Mars. And yes, we sure did. And it was amazing. And I want to point out that it had nothing to do with anyone's expectation. I'm sure he was not expecting to have sex that night. It had nothing to do with duty, obligation, trying to make up, trying to give him what he wants against my own will. It had nothing to do with that. It was about me learning how to be empowered in this area of my life for myself. And obviously it benefits our marriage and our relationship. And my husband gets to be on the receiving end of that. But I did that for me. And that is a whole different approach to sex when you have your own purposes and your own reasons that are not just duty driven. Okay. And then the last one that I thought was very interesting was National Mason Jar Day, right? Mason jars. Holy cow. I love mason jars, actually. They're so fun. You could do so many things with mason jars. You can put food in them. You can organize with them. You can do crafts with them. I love mason jars. So if you're going to celebrate National Mason Jar Day, I mean, you could go 100 different ways with this, right? You could give your husband a mason jar and say, hey, put some stuff in this tonight. It's going to be a mystery. And later on, we are going to reveal what we put in this mason jar and why we wanted to share it with one another, right? Oh my gosh, that's so fun because it leaves it so open and it leaves the mystery there because you don't know what your spouse is going to put in that mason jar and bring to the table that night. It could be sexy. It could be silly. It could be something that has nothing to do with anything else. And that's going to be so intriguing, right? Your brain is going to love this. So I really wanted to just throw this out because a lot of times around the holidays, we get very stuck in thinking we have to do things certain ways, and it can add a heightened level of stress. And so being able to think about these fun, out of the box ways of being sexy and celebrating funny things, new things, can really add such a wonderful component to our relationship. And even after Thanksgiving, there's still a whole nother week of December that we can throw some of these things in and really be able to connect in a way that our brain enjoys. And when our brain is able to be stimulated and say, hey, that's fun, that's enjoyable, then the desire to come back for more will be increased. So that is awesome. And your brain will be very satisfied with that. So take some of these, allow your brain to run with it. You don't need to spend a lot of time doing these things or preparing them. And in fact, some of them that are just able to happen spontaneously with little prep are often the best. So take some of these ideas and see if you can incorporate at least one of them this next week and next week as well, and see how much fun you can bring to yourself, to your spouse, to the sexiness during this sometimes stressful and holiday season. Because remember, the more you restore this type of intimacy with yourself, the more you restore it with your spouse. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope you will join me again next week.